how you doing out there, Guitar Heroes? Okay, well, we're messing around a little bit with the B7 chord, and you can see we can slide this form all the way up and down the neck. The only thing that we really have to do is keep our thumb on the big E, and basically we got a nice clean chord, a 7th chord pattern that we can play all the way up and down the neck. So let's take a look at what we're doing here. So B7 chord, you start out kind of like the G chord, right? With the, except we're going to move to the first fret of our D string and then our 2nd fret of the A string with our 2nd finger, and then we're going to follow up the skip a string for our 3rd, skip a string for the little pinky, and that's our B7 chord. And this would be a very common chord that you'll find almost 100% of the time in the key of E's. What do we got in the key of E? We got E, we got A or A7, and then we got this B7. So I wonder, can we do this same progression, an A, an E, an A, and a B7? Can we do that progression with just using the same form and never having to move our fingers to a different position? Here's how we do it. And let's move, and before we start with that, let's take a look at what chords we're actually playing. We start with this B7 up in the first fret. Remember, always keeping this thumb over the big E so we can mute that. Well, the first one, remember, there's no sharp or flat between a B and a C, so the first one's a C. So we can move up, and this is a nice little, let's say, a little progression ad that I've seen and I use in numerous songs. And then follow up on a standard E. So the C is the next one. And then let's just do the major one. So I'm at a C on the 2nd fret. Well, I guess I move up 2 more. I got a D7, I move 2 more, I get an E7, and if I take the little pinky off, I kind of get the Hendrix chord. That's an E. If I go up 1 more, I get an F, because remember, no sharps or flats in between. I go 2, I get a G, and I go 2 more. I'm up at the 11th fret now, and I got an A, A7, so I can kind of do this progression that I was working on, which is starting with the E, and I'll move up to the A, back to the E, and then I'm going to go down to the B7, A7, back to the E. So there's a whole bunch of things you can do with just this form. Obviously, the B7 is not necessarily the first chord you're going to learn as a beginner, but as you progress past the more simpler chords, this one is really not that tough. Once you start working on it, you can kind of, again, it's very similar to the G chord, except you're just putting all 4 fingers down. But to be able to have the flexibility of simply just sliding this thing up and down, and this gives you lots of additional muscle memory to be able to slide things. So when you start getting into bar chords and even sliding around with this, lots of benefits in your progress as being a guitar player. So that B7, C7, D7, E7, A7, way up that 11th fret. And then the other thing that's really good about this, you can release the pressure and get that scratching on. That's all I'm doing. I'm just releasing the pressure. So rather than pressing down, I just release it and it stops. Watch. I just release it because my fingers are on almost every string, so they just stop. I don't really have to go down here and do this, although I just do it up probably automatic. So then you can get that palm muting and that little scratching in there. I hope you get something out of this lesson. It's just really a cool thing, and it's just another one of those things you don't think about, that you can use these open chord forms to get other chords that you wouldn't necessarily be thinking about. So who would have thought that you were going to take a B7 form and go to the 6th fret and be getting an E7 as opposed to up here. And certainly this is a little bit tougher to get the A. I have a hard time getting my thumb over here because the neck is a little bit thicker. So you get a nice funky blues thing, and all you're doing is just using the same chord. So I hope you got something out of this lesson. This is something that I've kind of forgotten about, and it just kind of popped in my head. So we'll see you next time, and take it easy out there.